In the vast, indifferent cosmos, where stars are born and die in silence, danger often lurks in the deepest shadows. But what if darkness met an unexpected light? What if tyranny, at its cruelest peak, encountered a force that refused to yield, not out of power, but out of a simple, unwavering belief in life? Prepare for an epic journey as we delve into the saga of the Lost Worlds, a story where hope ignites in the most improbable places, and humanity proves that when innocent lives are at stake, no distance, no odds, will make us retreat. In the depths of the Orion Nebula, where the light of millions of stars filtered in dreamy hues, lay the Xylos system. For ages, the Xylos lived in harmony with their homeworld, a paradise of shimmering forests and rivers of liquid light. They were a people of poets and philosophers, their technologies focused on clean energy and the peaceful exploration of the universe, never on war. Until they arrived. The Xylos. Their fleet, a black, hungry stain tearing through the velvet of space, brought no promises, only the hunger for conquest. They arrived without warning, without diplomacy, their warships spewing destructive fire upon cities that had never known energy shields. To the Xylos, life was a resource, and the Xylos, with their vast bioenergy, were just another item on their list of plunder. In the heart of their now devastated world, the Xylos Council met. Their voices, once melodious, now trembled with despair. Their defenses had fallen in hours, their tourism and research vessels disintegrated into stardust. Hundreds of thousands of Xylos had already been brutally slaughtered or taken as slaves, their minds tortured to extract energy secrets. Admiral Xylo, a creature of sharp claws and eyes cold as the vacuum, had promised total annihilation if complete surrender was not immediate. But what did surrender mean for a people who had already lost everything? Communication with the Galactic Federation had been cut hours before the first wave of attacks. The Xylo jammers were perfect, silencing any cry for help, turning the Xylos system into a prison. With each explosion that shook the ground beneath their feet, hope dwindled, replaced by a chilling terror. They were alone, lost in the depths of space, awaiting an end that seemed inevitable. No help would come. No one would even know of their agony. Or so they thought. Thousands of light-years away from the Xylos' silenced scream, the USS Wayward Star glided through the vacuum. It was not a warship, but a long-range exploration cruiser, designed to map unknown sectors and make first contact. Its crew, led by Captain Elias Vance, consisted of the best of the human exploration fleet, stellar cartographers, xenolinguists, geologists specializing in unexplored worlds, and an engineering team capable of making a rock float. Vance, a man with more wrinkles on his face than stars mapped in his career, had eyes that had seen too much and a moral compass that never failed. He and his team were veterans of hundreds of contact missions, some peaceful, others less so, but always with innocent life as the priority. On a day that seemed like any other in the infinite monotony of deep space, Lieutenant Lena Petrova, the ship's communications officer, frowned at her screen. "Captain, I'm picking up something. It's a distress signal, but it's incredibly weak. Almost like an echo from another era." Vance leaned in, curiosity replacing boredom. "Get a fix, Lieutenant. Clean up the signal. Anything that managed to travel such a distance deserves our attention." Petrova worked frantically at the controls. Static crackled over the bridge speakers, an almost imperceptible noise, drowned out by the constant hum of the ship's systems. Then, through the veil of interference, a voice emerged, distorted, broken, but undeniably a plea in a common galactic tongue. It was an ancient message, dated months ago, a desperate projection of a grim future. It spoke of invasion, of a peaceful people under attack, and of a fleet, the Xylos fleet, which he knew to be composed of non-military vessels. The few Xylos that humans had met were gentle-souled beings, dedicated to art and philosophy. Silence fell over the bridge. All eyes were fixed on Vance. A single weak signal, coming from a system days away at maximum warp speed, and already weeks outdated. The chances that there was still anything to save were minimal. The Wayward Star was not a combat vessel. They were alone, in a quadrant that wasn't even part of the Federation's patrol routes. But Captain Vance had sworn to protect innocent life, no matter where it was. The Wayward Star's conference room was enveloped in an almost palpable tension. Holograms of the Cthar sector spun in the center of the table, dotted with energy readings that screamed destruction. Commander Eva Rostova, the first officer, a brilliant strategist with icy pragmatism, broke the silence. "Captain, our sensors indicate a massive Xylo fleet. We're talking dozens, perhaps hundreds of warships. The Wayward Star is an exploration vessel, not a battleship. Our shields and armaments are designed for deterrence and minimal defense, not for sustained battle against an invasion force." Chief Engineer Jax, a robust Zebarian, interjected, his voice a low growl. "Even if we arrived in time, which is unlikely given the age of the signal, we wouldn't have fuel for an emergency retreat. We'd be trapped and outmatched." Voices overlapped in a cacophony of probability and risk. "It's suicide. No chance. We have to report to the Federation and wait for reinforcements." Vance listened, his eyes scanning each face of his crew, faces he knew better than his own. He knew the assessments were correct, the logic impeccable. In any other scenario, he would agree. But not now. Not when a desperate voice had reached the depths of the void, asking for help. He stood up, the shadow of his imposing figure filling the space. "You're all right. By the book, by military logic, we're in a no-win situation. A single exploration vessel against a Xylo fleet. It's insanity. We have no orders, no support, and not even certainty that anyone will be alive when we get there." He paused, and his voice, though calm, carried the weight of unwavering conviction. "But this is about more than numbers or protocols. We received a call. A people are being massacred. They are not human, but they are lives. And humanity, we don't turn our backs on the innocent." Vance's gaze met that of each crew member. "We don't fight for territory. We don't fight for resources. Not even for glory. We fight because we can. We fight because it's the right thing to do. There won't be hot showers for days, and every system will be pushed to its limit. But if there's a chance, even the slightest, to save a single life, we'll take it. Lieutenant Petrova, prepare to plot an intercept course. Engineer Jax, I want every ounce of power from those reactors. Push us to the limit of structural integrity. We'll be there in 2 days. Not 3. The decision was made. Not by reason, but by a visceral, moral impulse that seemed inherent to the very fiber of humanity. It was the essence of humanity, F*ck in its purest form, the refusal to accept tyranny, the irrepressible need to protect, even when the universe said it was useless. 2 days of hellish flight passed. Every bolt of the Wayward Star groaned under the strain. Minor alarms flashed throughout the ship, ignored. The crew, exhausted but driven by adrenaline and Captain Vance's vision, operated with robotic precision. When the ship burst out of hyperspace into the Cthar system's orbit, the scene before them was one of unspeakable horror. The once vibrant planet Cthar was now an open wound in space, its atmosphere choked by smoke and debris. A Xylo fleet, composed of dozens of black, angular vessels, hovered over the dying world like metallic vultures, relentlessly firing upon what remained of the planetary defenses. The Wayward Star's sensors screamed with energy readings. The Xylos were preparing a saturation orbital bombardment, the final blow to annihilate any trace of underground life. On the bridge of the main Xylo command ship, Admiral Varkle was satisfied. The Cthar resistance had been pathetic. He was about to give the order for the final shot when a static alert sounded. "Admiral, an unidentified object has emerged from hyperspace at the system's fringe. No IFF identification. It's small." Varkle snorted, a guttural sound. "Small? So be it. A lost patrol ship or a curious merchant. Ignore them. Focus on the bombardment." They ignored it. A fatal mistake. The Wayward Star, a simple exploration vessel in the Xylo's eyes, had arrived. But Vance's crew wasn't there to observe. The defensive weapons, designed for warning shots and self-defense, were overloaded, their safety limits disabled. Reconnaissance missiles, adapted with kinetic charges and guided by learned artificial intelligence, were fired. They didn't move in simple ballistic trajectories, but in irregular, unpredictable patterns, confusing the Xylo countermeasure systems. The first missile struck a Xylo escort ship. It didn't destroy it, but it penetrated one of its auxiliary shield generators, causing a visible overload. Confusion on Varkel's bridge increased. What was that? A system malfunction? Lieutenant Petrova, with a chilling smile, answered the question to herself. Target locked. Sending vulnerability data. Next missile, Delta 7 evasion pattern. Fire. Other missiles followed, targeting the newly discovered weak points. The wayward star moved with surprising agility for its size, a graceful dancer on the battlefield, dodging Xylo return fire with maneuvers that seemed to defy physics. Every shot, every dodge, was a declaration. It wasn't the Federation. It wasn't a war fleet. It was just one ship, the wayward star, and the silent fury of a species that had decided the massacre would end. And the Xylo's surprise was rapidly turning into a terror they rarely felt. Admiral Varkel watched, incredulous, as his ships, designed to crush entire fleets, were dismantled by a single cruiser. That's not an exploration ship. Retaliate. This technology, it's impossible. But it wasn't. It was human ingenuity pushed to its limit. The wayward star didn't just shoot, it learned. Its targeting systems, fueled by adaptive algorithms, analyzed every Xylo shield pattern, every weapon frequency, adjusting its own shots to find the flaw, the tiny crack in the armor that the invaders thought was impenetrable. Commander Rostova's voice echoed on the wayward star's bridge, calm and controlled, despite the fury of battle. Target 2 disabled, starboard engine compromised. Target 3, gravitational diversion activated, prepare for lateral impact. The human ship wasn't just firing, it was choreographing a deadly dance. Varkel's tactics, brutal and direct, were ineffective against Vance's unpredictability. While the Xylos advanced in rigid formations, the wayward star moved like a beam of light, striking and retreating, appearing where least expected. Xylo fighter pilots, accustomed to slaughtering defenseless fleets, were easy prey for the wayward star's defense drones, small swarms of light that moved with supernatural agility, intercepting enemy fighters and turning them into stardust. In the engineering bay, Jax and his team worked at a frantic pace, their eyes fixed on monitors flashing red, pushing the fusion reactors beyond any safety limit. She's groaning, Captain. Jax yelled over the comms. We're at 120% nominal power. I don't know how much more she can take. Hold on a little longer, Jax. Vance replied, his voice firm. They're losing formation. Keep the pressure on. Screams of terror began to echo through the Xylo communications. Their captains didn't understand. A single ship was disintegrating their fleet. Not by brute force, but by a maddening combination of impossible maneuvers, technology that adapted to every shot, and a determination they had never encountered. For the Xylos, the logic was simple, numbers meant power. But humans fought in a way that defied alien logic itself. They didn't fight as a military unit, but as a solitary predator, intelligent and relentless, defending a nest. On the planet below, the few Kthar still operating the sensors could barely believe what they saw. A single speck of light against the darkness of the Xylo fleet, destroying one invader after another. Who are they? A Kthar elder whispered, his eyes wide. Why do they fight for us? The answer was yet to come, but hope, long dead, began to glimmer again. Admiral Varkel was panicking. 7 of his ships were disabled, and 3 had exploded into clouds of debris. His tactician, a generally stoic being, stammered. Admiral, they move too fast. Our weapons can't lock on. And their shields are unbeatable. Impossible. Varkle snarled, his claws pounding the console. They are a single exploration vessel. Concentrate fire. All cannons on the engine section. If we can't destroy them, we'll immobilize them. The remaining Xylo fleet, still overwhelmingly superior in number, closed in around the wayward star like a trap. Plasma beams and missile barrages rained down on the human ship. The wayward star's shields, once unyielding, began to flicker dangerously. Shields at 60%. Petrova shouted. They're concentrating fire on the main engine. On the bridge, Vance remained calm. Jax, I need more. Everything you can give us. We won't retreat. Captain, the reactors are in the red. If I give more, we risk a containment breach. Jax replied, his voice hoarse. Do it. Vance roared. These people are counting on us. With a final roar of the engines, the wayward star accelerated, not to flee, but to plunge into the heart of the Xylo formation. It was a move of insane audacity, a desperate gamble. But Vance knew that sometimes, the best defense was a furious offense. Intelligent missiles flew from every launcher, disorienting enemies with unpredictable maneuvers, hitting blind spots and disabling crucial systems. Confusion set in among the Xylos, their ships colliding and firing on each other in an attempt to hit the slippery human target. Admiral, the human ship is turning to your position. Locking on to us, the Xylo weapons officer shouted, panic taking over his voice. Varkle felt a shiver run down his scales, fear. A primordial fear he thought he had eradicated from his existence. That human ship defied logic, feared no death, did not retreat. Protect the flagship. Varkle roared, but it was too late. The wayward star's main cannons, designed to pulverize asteroids and deflect comets, fired. It wasn't a massive bombardment, but two concentrated beams of pure energy, focused with surgical precision. Varkle's command ship's shields collapsed instantly. The flagship's armor, thought to be impenetrable, melted like wax. The beams sliced the ship from bow to stern, and the Xylo flagship exploded into a supernova of twisted metal and furious energy, a flame that echoed the end of their reign of terror. The ensuing silence in the remaining Xylo fleet was deafening. 15 ships, which had arrived for annihilation, now floated in shock, staring at the void where their leader and flagship had existed. The human ship was not only powerful, it was the embodiment of a righteous fury, a force they could never have foreseen. On the wayward star's bridge, Captain Vance watched the sensors. The 15 remaining Xylo ships were in retreat mode, uncoordinated, with no intention of fighting. Victory was unquestionable. The crew, exhausted but with a triumphant gleam in their eyes, awaited orders. Captain, they're retreating, Petrova informed, her voice almost a whisper of relief. Should we let them go? Vance slowly shook his head, his expression as cold as the vacuum. No. No one threatens innocence and gets away with it, not on my watch. He activated the communicator on all Xylo channels. Attention, remaining Xylo vessels. You came here to massacre a peaceful people. You destroyed their defenses, bombed their homes. Did you think there would be no consequences? No response came. They were too busy trying to escape. Commander Rostova, target their engines, Vance ordered. I want them disabled, not destroyed. They will be judged for the crimes they committed here. With surgical precision, the wayward star's intelligent missiles fired again. They traced impossible curves in space, dodging desperate countermeasures and hitting the propulsion systems of each Xylo ship with deadly accuracy. One by one, the aggressor ships lost power, drifting, imposing metallic husks in the vast stellar ocean. Desperate cries of surrender echoed through the channels, but Vance ignored them. Mercy was something the Xylos should have considered before beginning their massacre. On the planet below, the Kthar Elder and his companions watched the scene through sensors with silent admiration. A single ship had prevailed against an entire fleet. How is it possible? Asked a young Kthar, his eyes fixed on the image of the wayward star. The elder, with a new glimmer of hope in his ancient eyes, replied, "They did not fight as a military unit, or for conquest. They fought like a family protecting their home. Every shot was personal. Every maneuver, driven by the anger of what the Xylos were doing to us." Hours later, the first human aid teams descended to the surface. Medics, engineers, and trauma specialists, all from the Wayward Star's crew, worked tirelessly alongside the surviving Cthar. Dr. Eris Thorne, the ship's chief medical officer, set up makeshift field hospitals, treating both Cthar injuries and the few captured invaders who could be helped. Jax led teams to restore power and communications, while Commander Rostova coordinated search and rescue operations, using small adapted drones to locate survivors in ruins. Every human on the surface acted with the focused intensity of those who understood that lives depended on their speed and skill. Captain Vance met the Cthar elder in the rubble of what had been the main council chamber. The elder, with reverence, offered a gesture of gratitude. "Captain Vance, we were lost. We thought no one would come. How did a single ship do this?" Vance looked at the ruins, then at the sky where the Wayward Star hovered like a sentinel. "We didn't see enemies out there, Elder," he said, his voice hoarse but firm. "We saw tyrants hurting innocent people. When humans see that, we don't count probabilities, we don't calculate risks. We just act." He paused. "Technology helps, yes. But it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is why you fight. We don't fight for territory, nor for glory. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. And that, Elder, makes all the difference." During the following week, the Wayward Star remained, its crew assisting in the reconstruction. The story of the Battle of Cthar spread like a pulse of energy throughout the galaxy. Other species learned that when humans spoke of protecting civilians, they truly meant it. Pirates and slavers began to avoid systems where human ships might patrol. Aggressive empires thought twice before attacking peaceful colonies. On the day of departure, Vance sent one last transmission to the newly restored Cthar system. "Cthar system, this is the Wayward Star. We are departing. Take care. And do not hesitate to call if you need help." The Cthar elder replied, his voice filled with gratitude. "We will never forget what you did for us, Captain Vance." "Just remember this," Vance countered, the image of the disabled Xylo fleet still in his mind. "The galaxy is full of predators who think they can take whatever they want. But it's also full of people willing to stand up to them. You are not alone out here." The Wayward Star turned, its warp engines humming for the next journey. Behind it, 50,000 grateful Cthar began to rebuild their lives, secure in the knowledge that somewhere in the darkness, the wolves of Terra were hunting those who fed on the innocent.